I have a motion of urgent public importance from Professor Steve Azaiki. Is he here? Prof, move your motion.
Needs to immediately repair the failing section of the east-west road, particularly the area bordering Rivers and Bayelsa and that of Delta and Bayelsa axis, and complete the construction of the road, because right now the road is cut off.
To second the motion as moved. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Prof.
This motion is on the need to immediately repair the failing section of the east-west road, particularly the Port Harcourt, River State, Bayelsa axis, and that of Bayelsa Delta, and to complete the construction of the road. This motion is moved by my colleagues from Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River States. The House notes that the east-west road, which was constructed decades ago, is one of the most important roads in Nigeria, and we understand its contribution to the economy and development of our country need not be overemphasized. The House also notes that the east-west road is spanning 5 states: Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Cross River States. This road is in the heart of the oil-rich Niger Delta, where the oil revenue is derived and hence very vital to the economy of this country. The House further notes that it is in recognition of the importance of this road that the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo approved the construction of a second carriageway and the rehabilitation of the existing one. Sadly, today, this road is yet to be completed. The House is informed that a greater portion of the roads in these states have failed, even as the project contracted to Cetraco Construction Company has been abandoned. The road today has become a death trap and causes nightmares to commuters who has unavoidably need to use this road. Further informed that in particular, some sections of the road, especially that of Bayelsa and Rivers and Delta and Bayelsa, is already cut off, and in the coming days of this rain, it will be difficult for motorists to use the road. The House believes that there is the need to urgently repair these failing, sinking sections of the road to avert more loss of lives, properties, and to ameliorate the hardship experienced by road users and ensure that the entire road is completed on record time. The House resolved to urge the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to direct the contractor, Mrs. Cetraco, and any other contractor to immediately return to site and do the needful. Ensure that Delta Affairs Ministry, Niger Delta Affairs Ministry, and Cetraco rehabilitate immediately the most certain sections and those areas that are cut off Rivers, Bayelsa, and Bayelsa Delta axis to avoid these roads being unusable. Urge the federal government to resume all liabilities owed contractors on the construction of the road so that the road could be completed. Urge the federal government and Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to complete these important economic roads without any further delay. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we so move. Thank you.
My name is Idem Unyime, member representing Ukanafun, Orowanam Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State. I rise to second the motion as moved by my colleague. I so second.
Wednesday's plenary also adopted a motion from Representative Garbadati calling for a review of Nigeria's foreign policy in view of the increase in reported cases of racial discrimination against black people in parts of the world.
Matter of urgent public importance Oh, okay, sorry, Order 8, Rule 4. And So the issue is the urgent need for a review of Nigeria's foreign policy towards liberating the black man from racial oppression and discrimination across the world. So I want this motion to be taken as urgent and all our relevant rules to be suspended to enable me to present this motion now, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
So your motion is an urgent need to review our foreign policy.
The motion is urgent need for a review of Nigerian foreign policy towards liberating the black man from racial oppression and discrimination across the globe. The House recalled that Nigeria attained independence in October 1960 after colonial rule that spanned over a century, and only after a very bitter struggle lasting decades. Equally recalled, this feat was made possible by the contribution of nationalists and founding fathers of our nation, like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, and Chief Obafemi Awolowo, among others, as well as unsung such the Aba women warriors of 1929. Further recalls that the dehumanization of which Nigerian people were subjected left an indelible yearning to confront denial, discrimination, oppression of any form, but particularly on account of the color of your skin. The House is aware that, for the aforementioned reasons, attainment of independence, Africa became the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy. Equally aware that the apartheid policy in South Africa was the most compelling instance of racism of its time, and in spite of our infancy as a sovereign state, the Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, directed that a letter reference PPS 27 dated 4th April 1961 be written to African National Congress, assuring it that on this part, the battle against apartheid has just begun, and so began the dismantling of apartheid after more than 100 years of its reign in South Africa. The House notes that, true to its word, Nigeria lobbied for the expulsion of South Africa from Commonwealth of Nations in 1961, boycotted and organized the boycott of many sovereign states of the Montreal Olympics in 1976 and the Edmonton Commonwealth Games in 1979 in protest against the deprived policy of apartheid. Nostalgic that back those days, on account of our corporate and collective integrity that culminated in cross-border dignity, Nigeria did not slumber, Nigeria did not speak from both sides of her mouth. Nigeria roared and never whimpered in the community of sovereign states, where the inalienable rights of our racial kind were in issue. Bearing in mind that Nigeria rushed to sign every human rights treaty of the time, like the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights in 1966, that exposed equality and prohibited discrimination on account of race. Cognizant that as an attestation of these long-held values of human rights, racial justice, equity and equality, as well as African unity, our Constitution proclaims our dedicated to the promotion of inter-African solidarity, as the 1979 Constitution did, as well as to the promotion of African integration and support for African unity, and to mutual respect among all nations and elimination of discrimination in all its manifestations, as the 1979 Constitution did. Concerned that there is the continuing and increasing dehumanization of Nigerians African and black people across the world, particularly in the United States, Europe, and Asia, and that political independence and civil rights legislation do not mean uhuru yet for the black people who continue to live in bondage. The stress that daily reports are coming in of the endless dehumanization of black people across the world, including being indiscriminately shot, dismembered, maimed, and places like the United States by none other than agents of state, being mauled, maimed, and lynched by dogs, being set upon them by private individuals and agents of state in Asia, particularly in China, being subjected to monkey charts in stadia, in other arenas around Europe, humiliations, dehumanization, and killings that neither time, money, nor material can erase. Further distress that this incessant dehumanization of black people across the world has compelled the helpless black communities to start looking inwards towards resolving their challenges. And this has led to the groundbreaking movement of Black Lives Matter in the United States, and with the recent police killing of the black man, Mr. George Floyd, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the resultant protest, the Black Lives Matter protests are slowly subsiding, even if unhindered by COVID-19 pandemic across the globe. Mindful that 1 in 4 of every black man in the world, one is in Nigeria, and mindful of our frustrated history of intense agitation against apartheid and injustice in which ours and our parents, uncles, brothers, and resources were invested. Conscious that foreign policy is dynamic and that time has come to redirect Nigerian foreign policy towards its original goals of Afrocentrism, as well as justice for all, particularly all black people. Further conscious that in the aftermath of the Nazi, determined that the time has come to put an end to the culture of discrimination, annihilation, genocide, and racial cleansing being perpetrated against Nigerians, Africans, and black people all over the world, that the black race must secure the same level of protection as the Jews president in the example. Nigeria must once again take the lead towards this objective if external shame is to be avoided. Finally, the House resolved to mandate the committees on foreign affairs and diaspora to collaborate between them to organize a conference of local and international stakeholders towards fashioning comprehensive approaches to the festering challenges of discrimination, annihilation, genocide, and racial cleansing being perpetrated against Nigerians, African, and the black people all over the world. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Nigeria was able to lead other African countries to fight colonialism and bring an end to apartheid. It was at the instance of Nigeria that United Nations Anti-Apartheid Committee was established, and we fought apartheid to stand still. We led other countries to boycott Montreal Olympics, Edmonton Commonwealth Games in 1976 and 1979. During the presidency, the head of state, General Obasanjo then, Nigeria nationalized all companies that have link with apartheid South Africa. For instance, Bankless Bank was nationalized and changed to Union Bank. Standard Bank was changed to First Bank. British Petroleum to African Petroleum. And we were able to establish South African Relief Fund of which we are contributing every year $5 million to both African Congress and Pan-African Congress of Azania. So now that there is no more apartheid in Nigeria or in Africa, the new focus now is black man is being hunted all over the world. Nigeria has to take a stand on this very issue so that it will be to our own by the use of African Union, the use of CAF and other multi-agency groups to fight apartheid in all racism in all its ramifications. So, Mr. Speaker, that's why we are saying that Nigeria should now refocus or to redirect our foreign policy interests to reflect the interests of black men. Because for every 4 black men in the world, 1 is a Nigerian. So we have to rise up. If we don't do this struggle, nobody will do it for us. And we said this is exactly what happened to the Jews after the Holocaust and the World War II. So it has become a criminal offense in many jurisdictions to even deny Holocaust, talk less of anti-Semitism. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Zana, what's your motion?
The House, while debating the issue as a matter of urgent public importance, moved by Representative Usman Zanna, also called for constitutional amendments to enable law-abiding Nigerians bear arms to defend themselves against attacks by criminal elements.
I am Honorable Usman Zanna, representing the people of Kaga, Gubio, Maguberi, Federal Constituency. I am from Borno State. I rise, Mr. Speaker, under Rule 8, under Order 8, Rule 4 and 7 to take matters of public importance in a fresh Boko Haram attack in my constituency yesterday night. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Second, the motion ably tabled by Honorable Usman Zanna. I so second.
Killed about 96 persons. That's on Tuesday, yesterday, June 20th, 20th. Aware that the Boko Haram insurgency attacked the village in a bid to rustle their cattle, but forced resistance from the villagers. Pained that the insurgents regrouped, embedded the village in a reprisal attack, resulting in mass killing of so many people, including women and children. Alarmed by the renewed spread of attack by the insurgents in recent times of innocent populace, just 3 weeks ago, Gajigana was attacked where over 17 people were killed and 27 were injured. Concerned about the vulnerable states of the defenseless villagers in the affected community, worried that the security force seems to be overwhelmed by this renewed attack by the insurgents in Borno State, resolved to call on the armed forces to intensify patrol in vulnerable communities in the hinterland to ensure protection of the villages. Urge the Northeast Development Commission, NEMA, to provide much-needed support to the affected villages. Observe 1 minute silence in honor of people that lost their life in the unfortunate attack yesterday. Mandate the Committee on Army and Defense to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker. It was a reprisal attack, and this is not the first time the insurgents are attacking Gubio. Last year, around October, Gubio was attacked 8 times in a month, 8 times. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge my honorable colleagues to support this motion, to urge the military to intensify patrol as the rainy season is fast approaching. People have to farm because we don't want people to depend on handouts as IDPs. They have to stay in the villages. Government has spent a lot of money in returning these IDPs back to their communities. And we don't want a situation whereby they will also be packed in IDP camps. It is time to close the IDP camps. Our governor is trying his best, going to all nooks and crannies. Just last week, we went to Kalabalge, not even Kalabalge, to all the villages, including Wulgo. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support this motion and do something about this Boko Haram attack. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gimba, 1 minute.
Honorable colleagues, I wish to, as a rider to the motion brought in by Honorable Usman Zana, to appeal to this House to stop being diplomatic with the security agencies. Mr. Speaker, the situation in Borno State, some are being reported as he did, and some are not even being reported. There is no single day in Borno State that Boko Haram will not kill people in one village or the other. And I believe that every life matters to this House. Even if it is one, if any one of us would lose one life from his family daily, that is a matter of concern. And to them as well, it should be a matter of concern. Mr. Speaker, this House has to be very aggressive in approaching the security chiefs to ensure that even if they have to change their strategy, of course, if they for 10 or 11 years now, Boko Haram has been killing people in Borno State and there is no any progress, it will just go on and off, back and forth. I think it is time now to sit. We have professionals. We have ex-military men in this House. We can bring in people that are strategists in security matters and sit down with the security chiefs. There is no monopoly of knowledge. It is not a matter of because you are in the military, you are the best person to advise the military. So I think, Mr. Speaker, in my own opinion, this House has to be aggressive. If we look at the way the Nigerian government approach Corona, as if Corona is just hiding in any of the streets, that when you go out, it will just catch you. We are all seated at home for how many months? So if we can lock down the whole of Nigeria because of Corona, I think for Boko Haram, for armed banditry, for rape, for all of these things, we also need to have a robust and aggressive way of approaching it. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, for these rapists, I will use this opportunity to say that we even need a mobile court because women cannot allow this thing to go while your rapist is moving around, giving bail to be at home. You are seeing him in the streets and then waiting for judgment. There needs to be a mobile court where these rapists will be judged and be sentenced or prosecuted once and for all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
My name remains Obina Chidoka, or is Obina Chidoka, representing Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, it was just this morning or late last night that I saw on Al Jazeera about what is happening in my own country. And I saw the news about 96 people killed. Not minding how he was killed, just one death in America has caused massive riots for the past 14 days. And in this community in Borno, for the 18th time, we've had people being killed to the extent of 96 people. And from what the mover of the motion has said and what my dear Honorable Gimba has said, they don't spare women, neither do they spare children. And so they kill everybody. Now, we have to do something drastic. And I think I'm not tired of talking, and we can't be tired of talking about it. But as a nation, we must do something. If Donald Trump can build a wall between America and Mexico, if we need to build a wall between us and Chad, we need to do that. If not, we should put more money to the defense authorities. I'm looking at the capital for defense, Ministry of Defense, 115 billion for capital. It's nothing. So we need to re-equip them, retrain them, bring in people, even people who are ex-military.
By the doctors, and to avoid our health system being jeopardized, and following the several agreements reached by the Resident Doctors Association, in line with their hazard allowances, I hereby move that we add the total allowances running to 4 billion under service-wide vote, which to be recorded under service-wide vote. I so move.
I want to take the 16 point something from the $3 additional. We have it.
Million to the satisfied votes for the required expenditure of the resident to fund the Resident Doctors Act for the resident doctors. Carried. Carried. Clause 2. Honorable colleagues, the House and the Committee of Supply considered the report of the Committee on Appropriations on a bill for an act to amend the Appropriation Act 2020 to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 10,801,544,664,642 naira only, of which 422,775,979,362 naira only is for statutory transfers of 2,488,789,433,344 naira only is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure in the year ending 31st December 2020, and clauses 1 to 13 approved the schedules as amended and the long title of the bill as amended. I think we also considered in Committee of Supply the report of the Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management on the request for approval of external loans to finance the Federal Government of Nigeria proposed revised 2020 budget deficit, and approved clauses 1 and 2 of the report. Leader, please move for the adoption of the report.
That the House do adopt the report of the Committee on Supply. Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I so move. Thank you.
This is an I have it.
Wash your hands for 20 seconds, just like Elmo.
Expresses willingness to support collective actions to end COVID-19. Date for conduct of party primaries and submission of names of candidates remain, INEC chairman tells political parties. Also on the program today, attention is on e-learning, management system in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, and place of Nigeria's higher institutions of learning. Good afternoon and welcome to Panorama, reaching you from NTA Network Center. I am Obehi Utobo Aprasai. A crucial meeting on the security situation in the country is underway at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the meeting was summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari. In attendance are the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, National Security Advisor, All service chiefs led by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Abayomi Olushaki, and the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu. Also participating are the Directors General of the Department of State Services and the National Intelligence Agency, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and the Chief of Staff to the President. The meeting, being presided over by the President, is to discuss the worrisome challenges of security in parts of the country and chart the best way forward. NTA News will keep you posted with the decision taken at the strategic engagement as soon as they are made public. Nigeria has recorded 587 new cases of COVID-19 as at 17 June. The breakdown by NCDC indicates that Lagos is having 155 cases, Edo 75, FCT 67, Rivers 65, Oyo 57, Delta 50, Bayelsa 25, and Plateau 18. Others are Kaduna 18, Enugu 17, Borno 12, Ogun 12, Ondo 7, Kwara 4, Kano and Gombe 2 each, while Sokoto and Kebbi have 1 each. This brings the total now to 17,735 confirmed cases. 5,967 patients have been discharged so far, and 469 deaths recorded. Nigeria says it will not only support but actively participate in any collective action at both regional and global levels towards tackling the coronavirus pandemic and its fallout. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this while addressing participants at an extraordinary China-Africa summit on solidarity against COVID-19. President Buhari, however, insists that humanity must be placed in the center of the vision as they develop more creative response and humane health system for common prosperity. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
Convened by the presidents of China, South Africa and Senegal, this extraordinary China-Africa Summit on Solidarity against COVID-19 is initiated to discuss joint response against the global pandemic in furtherance of efforts at building a closer community of shared future. From the presidential villa, President Muhammadu Buhari joined a virtual interactive session which also had as participants other African leaders, United Nations Secretary General, as well as the Director General of the World Health Organization.
The COVID-19 outbreak is a clear wake-up call for all of humanity.
President Muhammadu Buhari said apart from instituting strong surveillance and infection prevention as well as control measures, Nigeria also developed practical policies to protect lives and livelihoods. The world, he said, is now at a critical crossroads as almost every country has been hit hard by the COVID-19 tragedy. As energy and resources are mobilized towards adequately responding to the challenges of the virus, the president said global partnership is key towards bringing to an end the pandemic.
As we face a common pervasive and invisible enemy, it is important that we all remain united to save our shared humanity, because this virus knows no borders. The fight against a global pandemic that continues to take so many lives, threaten livelihoods, and challenging the very fabric of societies requires enhanced cooperation and worldwide solidarity. We must not fail because the lives and livelihood of our peoples depend on our collective efforts.
President Buhari acknowledged the support of the Chinese government for its tremendous assistance to Africa and in particular Nigeria, which he said has not only strengthened COVID-19 containment efforts but further enhanced the spirit of solidarity and bond of partnership amongst FOCAC member states.
I see this opportunity to reiterate the need to put humanity at the center of our vision for common prosperity. We must learn lessons and share knowledge from research as we develop more creative, responsive, and humane health systems, improve crisis management protocols, and support each other in the battle against COVID-19.
And as confirmed COVID-19 cases in Africa surpass 250,000 with nearly 7,000 deaths, Chinese leader Xi Jinping described as a matter of priority helping the continent in capacity building as well as improving public health systems by his country. China has already pledged to provide $2 billion over the next 2 years towards helping the COVID-19 response, as well as enhancing economic and social development in the affected developing countries.
The Chinese and African people are poised to embrace better days ahead.
During the virtual interactive dialogue, participants appreciated the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres for the recent launch of a COVID-19 response and recovery fund. This is aimed at supporting low and middle income countries towards tackling the health emergency as well as addressing social and economic consequences of the crisis. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The search for a homegrown cure for COVID-19 and other life-threatening diseases like malaria and cancer is underway by a team of health professionals in the country. The Azi Biotech National Health Emergency Group of researchers and developers in Jos Plateau State says the drug will also boost the immunity of the body against the diseases. Ijoma Ozomena, on a tour of the plant yard, reports that Netomysian annua used for the medicine is also used by Madagascar for the drug for the global pandemic.
Artemisia is an edible vegetable naturalized in most parts of the world, including India, and has a lifespan of 5 months. In 2008, some health professionals across the nation thought it wise to eradicate malaria in Nigeria and discovered a plant which had artemisinin, active ingredient used in producing malaria drug. The artemisinin got from China was originally 0.8%, but when developed in Nigeria became 4.8%, making it higher in content and efficacy to cure ailments.
Since we have the plant here, we feel that it will be necessary for us to develop our own malaria drugs. And if malaria drugs are produced in this country, using this plant, our own plant, a sachet of malaria drug cannot be more than 50 naira. Nigeria needs about 3,000 hectares of land to produce enough malaria drugs that will cater for Nigerians.
And for cancer, the artemisinin content of this plant, coupled or synergistically working with other components like the scopolectin, has the ability to kill 98% of cancer cells within 16 hours.
In the process of innovative and integrative ways of eradicating malaria, the challenge of COVID-19 came up, prompting the federal government to search for integrated medicine.
It belongs to dot the I's and cross the T's to come up with something that is acceptable to the people. Come up with something that can take care of this virus.
At the moment, this produced drug is undergoing trials, while the vaccines and injectables are being developed for the same COVID-19 and awaiting consent of the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
As various countries of the world continue to battle the mystery of COVID-19, issues of economic and academic recovery are in the front burner in Nigeria. The experience of some tertiary institutions in Edo State is quite amazing, as the effect of the nationwide shutdown is no longer an issue to worry about. Correspondent Eugene Ndubisi, who visited some of the institutions in Edo State, reports that the foundation already laid with the procurement and installation of e-learning facilities have brought students closer to their lecturers, with distance no longer a barrier.
There are more than 14 tertiary institutions in Edo State which should have concluded their academic activities for this semester. However, they were disrupted by the shutdown of schools in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Although some of the institutions had e-learning teaching programs on ground before the pandemic, the current difficulties have provoked a more effective utilization of the facilities in teaching the students. However, some of the government-owned institutions with such facilities are locked down due to the nationwide strike by ASU. One of the private universities in Benin with e-learning facilities has almost concluded its curriculum and semester examinations. This is some illustration that distance is not a barrier as students use apps like Google Classroom, Webinar, Zoom conferencing, and WhatsApp groups.
We deployed our learning management systems. The first of which was for each class, the lecturers were to set up WhatsApp groups to keep in touch with them, to keep reassuring them that learning has not stopped.
One of the ways human beings or humanity would have used to manage the problem of the pandemic and sustain education without any loss of cycle is the e-learning.
Edo University Yamo has also since queued into the program in 2019 through the Canvas e-learning system, which has brought the lecturers and students together at this time of COVID-19.
2 times 10 power minus 10 meters.
Okay, 2.862 times 10 to the power minus 10 meters.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will call upon Power now to recount 3 of these subject area for me. So, Power, you have the floor.
They are able to do their assignments effectively on the LMS platform, and they are also able to discuss with their lecturers even outside normal lecture periods.
Challenges such as internet connection and practical teaching for those in such related programs, however, exist.
For our lecturers, what we have done is to subsidize their data since they are not on campus. Ordinarily, for those on campus or for those who have access to facilities on campus, our internet in the university is 24/7.
That all tertiary institutions should embrace this practice is a new imperative within the new normal. In Benin, Ogochkuka Ona, NTA News.
Sincere apologies. That last report on e-learning was presented by Ogochkuka Ona. And now to discuss more on the issue is Dr. Vincent Aizegboji Balogun, Chairman, Review of Learning Management System Lectures Committee, Edo University, Iyamo. He's here with us in the studio. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
So let's go straight to the question. E-learning, thanks to the lockdown, has become an increasing favored option. How effective is it? Can it truly replace the mainstream classroom method of teaching and learning?
Yes, thank you very much. Absolutely. E-learning has come a long way, particularly this era of COVID-19. Pre- and post-COVID-19, e-learning is the new normal. Come what may, every university should key into it. For Edo University, Yamo, they have gone a step further by bringing in the Canvas Learning Management System, which is a software that has been deployed first in West Africa, and a whole lot of software and apps have been embedded into it.
So what are the key challenges which impedes the success of the e-learning? For instance, students who can't, you said something about Canvas something, yeah. Students who can't afford the facilities, as well as the physically challenged, like the visually impaired and those with hearing impediments also. What are the challenges?
Okay, before I come into your challenges, let me quickly mention here that the Canvas Learning Management System that Edo University Yamo deployed, which is the first in Nigeria and the only platform by which lecturers can teach and students can also partake on the platform simultaneously. More than 500 students can participate simultaneously through videos and audios. Lecturers more than 30 to 50 can also deliver their lecture simultaneously at the same time within 8 hours. Yes, there are a few challenges here and there that we are also trying and doing our best to up. A few of the challenges is, one, we have electricity challenge in Nigeria, for example. Sometimes there will be power failure, and then students will not be able to log into the platform to connect. Secondly, sometimes also you have poor students who might not be able to afford maybe the laptop that they can connect to the platform. The app, the Canvas Learning Management System, the software, has the ability. We have embedded the mobile phones into it, okay, so that students can easily connect using their mobile phone, okay, and they will also be able to link with their lecturers straight online using the mobile phone. Also, so many things have been done with the Canvas Learning Management System of Edo University, Yamo. For example, the admission processes is ongoing and is live and direct on the LMS, on the Canvas Learning Management System. You have also the examination that we are also planning very hard to also conduct. This will never disrupt our academic activities. Our calendar is still intact. Our students will graduate as at when due, and the admission process will also commence as at when due.
So, sir, generally now, we're not just looking at a particular institution. Are the facilities for e-learning available, and are they enough to sustain this new option? You know, in a general view, apart from maybe your institutions they have, do you think this e-learning in Nigeria, there are facilities for the e-learning that are they available to all?
Well, for most universities, they are not ready for e-learning. Because some facilities are not available. Some universities cannot key into it. They are not able to key into it because, one, they don't have the infrastructure and they don't have the facility to key into it. But like I said, for Edo University, we already have a built infrastructure and facility that can take the learning management system.
So what does it really take to implement this e-learning system?
To implement the e-learning management system, for us at the University, what we did, one, is to connect with the Canvas Learning Management System. So for any university that want to adopt an e-learning platform, they should connect and get an app. One, either one of the learning management system. You have Blackboard, you have Moodle, you have Docebo, and so many others. Okay. But the Canvas Learning Management System has the capability to take a whole lot of online live videos, ability to conduct CBT exams, has the ability to also to give transcript. You can apply for transcript online and offline, okay, whatever method you want to adopt. And so generally, if a university can take any of that, that would be
smooth sailing in the e-learning program. Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent Isegbeoja Balogun, for coming to Panorama today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now let's take our break. When we return, Panorama continues. Please, just stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, SAN, has been rearraigned before the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday on money laundering-related charges. His rearrangement before Justice Ian Ekpo followed the transfer of the case from Court 2 to Court 5. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chimumba reports.
Apart from the transfer from Court 2 to Court 5, indicating that the matter starts afresh, that is de novo, there are two underlying components to the charges against him: the money laundering charges and the sale and fraudulent disposal of proceeds of sale arising from Malabo oil and gas deal. Wednesday's rearrangement of the defendants borders on the money laundering-related offences. Adoke was rearranged with an Abuja businessman, Aliu Abubakar, on a 7-count charge. When the charges were read and plea taken, they pleaded not guilty. Though no amendment was effected on the charge, 6 out of the 7 count relate to Adoke's largely fraudulent activities in disposing the proceeds of Malabo oil deal, while one was against Abubakar, the co-defendant accused of making payments of 300 million naira equivalent into Adoke's account in violation of Money Laundering Act. The EFCC had preferred the charges against the defendant in September 2013. Adoke was, among other things, accused of receiving US dollar equivalent of 300 million naira from Abubakar and paying the dollar equivalent of more than 367 million naira to one Usman Mohammed Bello. The former Justice Minister was equally accused of making structural cash payments in 22 tranches, amounting to 80 million naira, and another in 13 tranches estimated at 50 million into his Unity Bank account. In Abuja, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
And now sports.